Yeah. All right. We are live on YouTube. Welcome to the show. I'm out here late again today. Had a lot to do today. The sun is starting to go down, so I'm only going to be doing 3 miles today instead of the usual 3.5. Anyway, I'm out and about on another walk with purpose, episode number 815. And today we're going to be discussing greedy people slash companies. This has to stop. Greedy people slash companies, this has to stop. I'm going to be discussing how this affects us, not just monetarily, but even more psychologically, especially if, greedy people or corporate greed inflates prices on things that have either become customary to our lifestyle or our necessities. That's what I'm going to be talking about here today. Got someone coming on the sidewalk here. I'm going to pull on over here beside this palm tree and wait for them to pass. Look at how beautiful that looks. The sun glistening off the water. Doesn't get any better than that, folks. Well, I'd like to be home watching Monday Night Football with the Niners on Monday Night Football. But I have DirecTV and fucking Disney, which has really triggered me to do this show today because I think Disney's become one of the greediest companies that's ever existed. I'll share more about that in a bit. We've had channels that are owned by Disney have been blacked out on DirecTV for like 8 days now. Because Disney is so greedy, they want so much control over how carriers of, stations that they own or channels that they own. And DirecTV is like, you're being ridiculous. DirecTV even filed a grievance against Disney with the FCC, and I hope the FCC steps in because Disney's becoming one big fucking monopoly. We'll get more into that in just a little bit. I'm not too thrilled about the situation. And this also triggers me on other things too. We're going to talk about DoorDash and other companies as well that I feel are still very, very greedy and price gouging customers. And even if you don't use services like DoorDash and Uber Eats and stuff like that, we're all paying for it whether we use it or not because restaurants. Hey man, have a good one. That was Ramon. Whether we use apps like DoorDash or Uber or not, it affects us because businesses are raising their prices to cover those additional expenses involved for using DoorDash and Uber. Now look, I'm all for companies, CEOs, executives, employees. I'm all for companies making a fair profit, but you've got these companies nowadays that are making multi-billion dollars and some even in the trillions now. And it's like there are people starving. There are people that are just barely surviving. But these companies have multiple employees with millions or billions of dollars. And they're never going to spend that money in a lifetime. Now, if you're going to use that money to try to swallow up other companies and become bigger, that makes you a bully, it makes you a giant. Like, if we had one or two companies run the entire world's necessity of services, we would all not be able to afford it. They would be able to control everything. There would be no competition to drive down prices. It would just all go up. And then what would these companies do? They would pay off the government to turn the cheek, right? No, the government's another corporation pretty much. They're the biggest corporation. They're greedy too. And they're crooks too. They're all crooks, right? I feel that greedy people are crooks in my eyes. So before we get further into it, let me just wait for a few more people to pop on in. Also, if there's anything else you'd like to discuss during this show, as always with these walks, they're pretty open as long as you're asking reasonable self-help / personal development type of questions, whether they are on the personal end of things or the business side of things. Today we're going to be talking more about the business side of things. But we're also going to be talking about people that are greedy too. I've seen a lot of greedy people and how they operate out here on YouTube. And their greed, gets them to act a certain way. It forces them to act a certain way, right? Now, as we continue to wait for some more people to pop on in, and I get more into it regarding this Disney thing with DirecTV, and we'll talk more about DoorDash, and we're just going to tie the whole thing in together and how it's affecting the economy, how it's affecting our prices, whether we use these services or not. We'll get into that in a second. But I want to start off by saying that I've always been the type of guy that truly believes in revenue sharing, that truly believes that unless you create something on your own with zero help, you need to equally share regarding any revenue you've gained on something that was created by a group of people that helped you create it. You might be the main person, you might have come up with the idea, but 3 or 4 other people helped you execute your idea, which you would have never gotten off the ground because they knew how to do certain things involving the execution process that you don't. For example, some people don't know how to build a website, or they don't know how to market or brand their products or services properly, right? I've always been an advocate in being fair and equal with everyone. Okay? I've always been an advocate of that. All right? But that's not how most people work that run a company. They get greedy. And if they can take half or 3/4 of all profits for themselves, and the rest goes to, paying employees and other stuff, right? What that means is you're paying people the bare bones minimum while you're walking out with a ton of cash. Yeah, you came up with the idea, sure. But again, you could not execute the idea without other people helping you, right? So let's get into this thing regarding, DirecTV and the Walt Disney Company. So I grew up loving Disney. Who didn't like Disney? Who didn't love Disney growing up around the same time I did? I was born in December 1973, December 17, 1973. I'm 50 years old. And back in those days, we had cable TV with like 20 or 30 channels. We had over-the-air TV. We didn't have the options for content that we have today. And if you wanted to see certain types of entertainment, you had to actually go see it in person. For example, my dad took my brother, my mother, and I to Disneyland in Southern California many times when we were younger. We drove down there because, Disneyland's in Anaheim, and it's south of where we're at here. It's about a 5.5 to 6 hour drive going down Interstate 5. I-5, yeah, over the famous Grapevine. Now, I remember going to Disneyland in my younger days. I think I was like 5 years old, and my brother was almost 4. And my dad, I liked Winnie the Pooh, and my brother liked Mickey Mouse. And the gift shop at the Disneyland Hotel, we would stay at the Disneyland Hotel. Now it's just way too expensive to do that. You go to a neighboring hotel on the Strip, or maybe a couple miles away or so, right? And they were selling big, giant, like 3 or 4 foot tall, Mickey Mouse plush animals and Winnie the Pooh plush animals. And they were about $100 a piece back like in 1978, 79. And so my brother and I wanted when our dad got us Winnie the Pooh and Mickey Mouse. And I still have the Winnie the Pooh to this day. It's a little dirty and holding on by a thread, but I still have that plush animal 45 years later. Now, when I went to Disneyland, the last time I went to Disneyland was after high school with my ex-girlfriend Nina and my friend Brett and one of his friends that was visiting from out of town. His name was Brian. We went in 1992. And I was 18. So we're looking at, let me see, what was I, 13 years later. Those same giant stuffed animals were still being sold at the Disneyland Hotel but they were now $250 and the quality was shittier. I mentioned that because, initially, I always thought of Disney as quality. Initially, I always thought of Disney as quality. They wouldn't skimp out on quality on their products, right? And they were a good, wholesome company. That's what they were. That's not what they are today, right? But I started noticing this in the early 90s, right? Now, we fast forward into the 2010s and now the 2020s, right? We're looking at 30 plus years later, and now Disney wants to be an entertainment company, like a video entertainment company, right? And they started to buy out entertainment companies. ABC, ESPN was always owned by ABC. Then Disney bought them out. I read in 2019 or 2020, around there, Disney bought Hulu. So they own Hulu. They've also started Disney Plus, right? And didn't have a problem with it. Didn't really realize. Well, let me fast forward. Let me rewind. Watching the Little Mermaid last year with my girlfriend Dawn, and how they made that movie into a movie where they want people to know we're a diverse company, right? So they made Ariel a half white and half African American character to try to show diversity. Now, we all know the original Little Mermaid was Caucasian. And I don't think anyone, black or white, would have had an issue making the modern day Little Mermaid white. But Disney made a big deal out of it because they want to be known as the most racially diverse, or the most diverse company that accepts everyone no matter what. Okay, that's fine. But the amount of times they intentionally showed diversity with certain things that were said or done in that Little Mermaid movie was ridiculous, to the point of where even my girlfriend Dawn was like, wow, yeah, Disney kind of overdid that. I mentioned that because now, like I think it was 8 or 9 days ago, I think it was 8 days ago, Disney's contract with DirecTV expired. And they hadn't come to an agreement on a new contract. So any channel owned by Disney has been dark for the last 8 days. So basically, any ABC station that is owned by Disney gets blacked out. Guess what? KGO TV Channel 7 here, KGO TV ABC 7 here in San Francisco has been owned by Disney. And it was initially owned by ABC. Initially when it started like 50, 60 years ago. So our local Channel 7 has been blacked out. We can't even see Channel 7 news, local news. ESPN is blacked out. And a bunch of other Disney channels. I think National Geographic is a Disney channel. I believe it's blacked out too. There's a bunch of them, right? And tonight, Monday Night Football starts with our home team, the 49ers. And if you have DirecTV, you can't watch it. Now, DirecTV is offering a $30 credit to go sign up for 1 month to another company to, pay for ESPN elsewhere and get it. So DirecTV is doing the right thing to satisfy their customers. I'm not mad at DirecTV. I'm frustrated that I don't have those channels, especially for Monday Night Football. I wouldn't have done this walk today. And I'm not gonna sign up for another service even for a month. Just for a few things, right, that I need to watch right now, right? So I started to read more about what's really causing this dispute. I was kind of talking about it the other day here. So the Walt Disney Company wants DirecTV to offer like ESPN and some other channels to at least 85% of their customers. They need to have that as part of the contract agreement. So DirecTV has had to offer ESPN, and I can't remember which other channels are involved, but I know ESPN was one of them. They had to pretty much include it in every single plan. So, you couldn't get a plan without it and save money if you don't want it, right? Some people don't want ESPN. They don't want sports. But because of Disney, they force you to have it. And because nowadays, with streaming services offering you, different packages, right? You can have different packages. DirecTV wants to start to offer some different packages that don't include ESPN and some other channels for people that don't want those channels, right? And Walt Disney Company is saying, no, you have to. We want to control the market. We want to control you. This is not the Walt Disney Company that I once thought was when I was growing up. It was a company that was known to treat people fairly and with respect, and to focus on making people happy through their magical kingdom, right? Their magic kingdom. First in Southern California and Anaheim, and then they opened up Disney World in Florida, which I've never been to Disney World. And, Dawn and I, we have all the streaming services. We even have Disney Plus. And quite frankly, I want to say fuck you to Disney and cancel Disney Plus, but Dawn loves Disney. And I'm not going to do that to my woman, because she loves having Disney Plus. And don't get me wrong, there are some cool movies that Disney does make, and they're only available on Disney Plus. So Disney Plus is a good channel. We like it. But this is about, hey, if you're going to stick it to us and fuck us over, not being able to watch the start of a new football season when your team's playing, we should stick it to you too. But that's not going to happen. So anyway, DirecTV is offering like a $30 credit for people that want to sign up for a temporary streaming plan until this gets resolved. Now, that's noble of DirecTV. I appreciate that. I've been a loyal customer with DirecTV for over 20 years. Every year I call and they give me a discount. This year, because I have the Total Choice Premiere, I have all the channels, the HBO, Showtime, Cinemax, and all that. but I'm able to get a good deal because I've been a great customer for a long time, and they don't want to lose me. So, last year I got $50 off each month for 12 months. This year I got $60 off each month for 12 months. So they've always given me good customer service. The service has been very reliable. And DirecTV truly, in my opinion, has the most options when it comes to regular cable and pay TV, like, the premium channels. And if you want sports, DirecTV is the king. They've got everything. The only thing they don't have now is NFL Sunday Ticket, which is exclusive to YouTube TV. But before this year, they had NFL Sunday Ticket for like over 35 years or so. But besides NFL Sunday Ticket, which I haven't bought an NFL Sunday Ticket in ages because I don't have time to sit down and give up an entire Sunday watching football all day, and that would drive Dawn crazy. And I'm too old to invest that much time sitting down all day watching sports and drinking beer and doing the shit that us guys did growing up, right? I'm 50 years old. I don't need that shit anymore, right? Now, I'm not saying it's wrong of you if you're my age and you still do that. It's just not for me. And there are other things coming up. I believe the presidential debate, I think it's supposed to be happening, I think, is it tomorrow or the next day? I can't remember. There's a presidential debate coming with Harris and Trump, and I believe that's on ABC. Now, I think I can watch that on Hulu because Hulu does broadcast those, and Dawn and I do pay for Hulu, which is owned by Disney. So we're fucking paying you, Disney. Disney, we're paying you in more ways than one. Jesus Christ, man. We even saw your Deadpool and Wolverine movie where they made a funny about the company making the movie. They referred to Disney. Oh, Disney, Disney's not going to like that or blah, 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 or whatever, right? Disney, it's funny how you have people that act in the movies you make that say funny jokes about your company because you folks know you're a bunch of greedy fucking bastards. You are. You are. Absolutely greedy bastards. I honestly think that the Walt Disney Company has become the absolute most greedy company, the greediest company on the planet. Even worse than Tony Hsieh and DoorDash. That was going to be my other thing. Tony Hsieh is just a greedy, greedy bastard. He continues to try to screw over drivers and screw over people with a service that really, in my opinion, is not needed anymore. During COVID, it was a great service to have. I'm not going to lie, it really worked well. But most normal people now have gone back out to eat. They'll go out to dinner, or they'll cook at home, or they'll go grab takeout on their own and save about 25 to 30% between having to tip a lot more and the 20 to 30% additional hike in fees that DoorDash charges the merchants, that then the merchants pass along to the customers. And in many cases, not all, but in many cases, these restaurants, when you go and eat there, you're also paying the DoorDash prices or just a little bit less. So for example, if DoorDash is charging a company 30% for their top package that they offer, 30% of each transaction, they are charging 30% more on the DoorDash app compared to their actual menu prices. But at the same time, they have also raised their original menu prices by 15 to 20%. So what has this done? Realistically, you go to restaurants now, and if you don't realize this, you're paying around 20 to 30% or 35% more for the same shit you were paying, 3-4 years ago. Whether you use DoorDash or not, even if you go and eat there. You folks don't realize it because you don't realize that, hey, when they signed up with DoorDash and Uber, they raised their in-house menu prices, and then on top of that, they are tacking on 20 or 30% if you use DoorDash. So their prices have, when you figure it out, they've gone up 30, 35% for everyone. Or, on average for everyone. You save a little money going into the restaurant, but not as much. But it's still cheaper to eat at the restaurant or to grab takeout. So more and more people have started to do what I do. They're grabbing takeout. And if you're going to order takeout, get the app from the actual business, unless they don't have one. Now, some places I go to are mom and pop shops where you can only order from like Uber or DoorDash. I can understand that. But any place that has their own app, like McDonald's or Wendy's or Jack in the Box or Denny's, IHOP or whatever, right? Applebee's, whatever, right? Get those apps. Store your credit card in there. And order from the app for carry out and go pick it up. You're going to earn points, you're going to earn discounts, and you're going to save yourself a good amount of money. Now, again, don't get me wrong. All of these prices have gone up due to DoorDash and Uber. But you can still save money by ordering from their own app instead of DoorDash or Uber's and picking it up yourself. And if you're going to do a pickup order, you should still tip. But you should tip about 10%. If you're going to do DoorDash or Uber, you got to tip at least 20%. The problem is you're tipping twice as much automatically when someone's delivering to you. And then your tippable amount is going to be more because you're paying 30% more for those, for those same items that you would go get in the store. Price gouging has to stop. And that's one thing I hope down the road through my organization, the Genuine Networking Association, I'm hoping to grow this organization to a level of where we can get people to stand up to price gouging as well, to stand up for corporate greed. And you know what? There are many ways to stand up against corporate greed, and that's called boycotting products. You boycott something and it catches on and everyone boycotts it, it practically puts those companies under, right? And what we folks as individuals don't really understand, I do, but most people don't. We have all the power. We have all the power. If we don't use these products and services, these people don't make money. If you don't use DoorDash or Uber because you're not fucking lazy like some people are, then Tony Hsu won't make any more money. Tony Hsu's making money, CEO of DoorDash, making millions and billions of dollars because you're a lazy ass and you feel like throwing your money away because you're lazy. Now, if you have a legitimate need to use a service, right? In some cases, you're taking care of someone that's elderly or whatever. I can understand that. But in most cases, people use it because they're lazy. They're lazy and they've got disposable money to throw away. So what if you've got a bunch of disposable money? Why waste your money even if you have a lot of it? Why waste money stupidly no matter how much money you have? And whatever happened to the principle of all matters, right? Do people even care about the principle of all matters anymore? Or is it just about whatever the fuck is easiest? And if I have the money and it can make it very simple and I don't have to do shit, then I'm just going to go with that option, right? We live in a very lazy and entitled society to the point of where a lot of us feel that we're entitled to this stuff. No, we're not. We're not entitled to shit besides our opinions, right? Now, getting back to the Disney thing, okay? My opinion regarding this is Disney's become a very big company. They become one of the biggest media companies around. I think somebody needs to swallow up Disney and run Disney better. And I think there are only two companies that have the revenue to do that. Number one is Apple, and number two is Google / Alphabet Inc. I'm going to make a prediction here. Over the next 5 years, YouTube and YouTube TV, which is owned by Google, which is owned by Alphabet Inc., will buy out the Walt Disney Company. And it's probably going to cost pretty much as close to what Musk paid for Twitter. It's probably going to be a $30 to $40 billion deal. Maybe $50 billion. Because right now, the assessed value, I believe, of YouTube alone is $100 billion. Now, that's just YouTube alone. Google is up there. Now, I believe Google and Alphabet Inc., I believe they're not a $1 trillion company yet. I believe Apple is a $1 trillion company, but Google is right there. So I predict that Google / YouTube / Alphabet Inc. will buy out the Walt Disney Company, at least their media part of it, right? And if they do, I can guarantee you they will run it better and more fairly. Now, I have heard, it's interesting, this plane has a light on the right there, now it's turning. Beautiful. There's still enough light out for me to finish this. Beautiful. Now, YouTube TV, from what I've heard through many people, is probably one of the best live streaming services when it comes to replacing your cable or satellite provider. Very reliable, and they've got a good amount of channels. Now, they don't have all the channels like DirecTV and Comcast Xfinity have, but they have the majority of the popular ones. And I'm sure at some point they're going to add a lot more. And here's the cool thing about YouTube and YouTube TV. YouTube's been doing online streaming video. They were the first ones that they pioneered it. Like streaming was pretty much started by YouTube and then Amazon as well too with Twitch when they got Twitch. But YouTube's been doing video for almost 20 years. And they've been streaming for pretty close to 10, right? So before these streaming services started becoming big, YouTube already had an advantage. They had the knowledge. They were prepared for this. So I honestly feel they could take what Walt Disney Company has, make it better, and also work much better with companies like DirecTV and Comcast Xfinity and Dish Network and any other cable or satellite providers that still deliver cable TV through the traditional way, through either a coax cable line or a satellite dish. Now, a lot of these companies also provide, streaming TV services that are similar to their cable or satellite options. But you need to have a pretty reliable internet connection for that. And there are many people in the country that live in rural areas that don't have the best internet. Now, eventually, when everybody gets fiber like we've had for 4 years, I think everything's going to go fiber, and then there will be unlimited options at that point, because fiber pretty much has unlimited bandwidth. Like with fiber, there's like no distance limit. And fiber works off of optical light through, glass strands called fiber. And then the reason why they use, light in the fiber cable is because light travels at 186,000 miles per second. So there's virtually zero latency involved. There's no distance limitation. And there's no bandwidth limitation, right? Once you install fiber, it rarely goes down. There's really no need for a service tech to come around, maybe once in a great while, but far less than was required due to past ways of delivering content. Rhonda says, you are so right. I just looked at a few restaurant apps. They are way cheaper than DoorDash. Thanks for the tip. Well, Rhonda, thank you for stopping by. This is your first time here, and how'd you find out about the channel? Yeah, you're going to be saving about 15 to 30%. The cheapest rates that DoorDash and Uber offer restaurants, it's 15%, and the best package, they charge the most, 30%. So when you compare the actual app of that particular restaurant to even a pickup order on DoorDash or Uber, don't even use DoorDash or Uber for a pickup order. You're going to see the prices are going to be 15 to 30% more. You're going to see the price be $2 to $3 more per item, depending on what you're getting. And when you go directly through the restaurants app, you have all these perks. Sometimes buy one, get one free, 20% off. Any order of $15 or more, right? And they used to offer a lot of those promos on DoorDash and Uber, but they don't anymore. They don't offer you shit on DoorDash and Uber anymore. They don't offer you anything to keep you around. And I like Uber a little bit better than DoorDash, but even Uber now, it's like they don't offer you much anymore to keep you around. You should do a top 10 money savings tip. Yeah, maybe at some point I will from the studio when I get time to do it. Thank you, Rhonda. Rhonda, is this your first time here, or have you been here before? Just kind of wondering. It's a beautiful night. So yeah, I do think that YouTube and Google will swallow up Disney at some point. Give me a second, folks. All right. And like I said, YouTube, I actually like Google and YouTube. They are a very fair and very reasonable company. I answered you, but you don't seem to be able to see it. Well, you might have used a block word, and I can't see that here because I don't have any mods here right now. If you're trying to say something that would trigger a blocked word, if you found out about us through a different community and those people's names are blocked here, then I'm not going to see that. So please try again. Your message is probably being held for review, and for some reason, for channel owners that do live streams from mobile cannot see when a message is held for review. Only moderators can. That's something that, yeah, I found out about you from a different community. Yeah, I wonder which one. Some greedy dude that you used to follow that pretends to care about people but only cares about money from scorned, lonely, and miserable middle-aged women, primarily. Rhonda, am I making a lot of sense? I mean, it's all good. We're good. You're good. Rhonda, you're good. It sounds like you're trying to get away from all that bullshit. Am I on the right page, Rhonda? I used to have when I was an assistant manager for Office Max, I used to have a store manager named Rhonda. She was actually a pretty cool lady. I got bored with that guy who gives polls that says, are you going to hit like or are you going to hit like? Yeah, you just confirmed my suspicions, right? Yeah, Rhonda, I don't know, maybe you realize it. I'm just curious to know, what type of content do you enjoy? And just out of curiosity, now that you're here, and I appreciate that you're here, I'm just curious. How did you find out about that group in the first place? And what kept you around to view that content? Was it entertaining to you initially? Or something different and you're just trying to true crime and all the gossip? Oh yeah. We'll just say it politely without using the bad word, but that dude is the biggest female dog. More than any other woman I know, that dude is the biggest female dog out of anyone. The gossip angle got way out of hand. Of course, because we could talk about this towards the end of the walk. Yeah, because what that guy would do is he would go on to people's panels, people that are running an innocent show, right, about an innocent topic, right? And he would go on these panels and intentionally trash talk people. Like no one ever did anything to him, but he would go on there and just intentionally say stuff to upset these women. He would prey on their vulnerabilities. And you're a lady, no disrespect. I have a woman, I have a mother and a woman. I know how women are very emotional, right? You respond to everything emotionally first. based on how you're feeling in the present moment. Well, he would exploit that. This dude exploits women's vulnerabilities and their emotions, and then uses it to make money. Right? He infiltrates other creators' hard work and their communities, right? Primarily innocent women that are just having a conversation about a true crime situation, about, it could be whatever. It could be Gabby Petito, it could be Scott Peterson and Lacey Peterson, it could be whatever, right? It could be Casey Anthony, all the ones I've talked about lately, but he purposefully would infiltrate them. And then he would just talk shit about these women that didn't ever do anything wrong to him. He's what I call a shit disturber. Right? And more people started to catch on to the game. And, most people now realize it's a game. So, he's lost a lot of support. He's not making the money he used to make. And listen, I'm not going to attack the guy like he's attacked me. Like, I wish him nothing but the best, Rhonda. And I appreciate you coming here and sharing your thoughts. But yeah, things got way out of hand purposefully for content. Rhonda says, do you have any other tips for saving money? Being single means you have to watch your pennies. Well, Rhonda, where are you from and how old are you? And I'm assuming you have no kids. I mean, I live in LA and I'm 34. Well, part of the problem is living in one of the most expensive cities to live in the world and one of the most expensive states like myself. You live in LA County, it's just very expensive there. You're probably paying at least $2.5 to $3 a month for a 1-bedroom apartment. I don't know what you do for a living. I don't know if you want to put that out there, but your income's going to matter. If you're only making 40, 50 grand a year, most of your money's going to go to rent and your car and utilities. I mean, if you're going to live, maybe I should get one of those vans and turn it into a tiny home. Well, you could be like that All In with Ari, but instead of being phony like her and staging all this shit, you could do it for real and you can make YouTube videos, right? But yeah, I'm a phlebotomist, so you're making about 50K a year, I'm assuming. Maybe 60 at the most. No, it's a good job, but it's not going to pay you 6 figures. And you're living in an area where even if you're renting a 1-bedroom apartment, you need at least 80, 90, or 100 grand a year to live okay and be able to save a little bit of money. My my advice, my suggestion, either get a different job that pays you twice what you're making, or move into a cheaper area where you're making the same amount of money or more. The same amount of money will get you further, moving out of a big city like LA. But you probably like living in LA and you got a lot of stuff there, right? There's a trade-off to everything. Or you can get a second part-time job. There are a lot of gig jobs you can do. I no longer suggest doing DoorDash or Uber because it'll just break down your car and it's just not worth it. You're going to lose money eventually. But there are other jobs you can do, like dog walking and stuff like that. There's a lot you can do right from your smartphone and make a little extra money. You go to work, get off of work, do some dog walking, or do dog walking on the weekends. But yeah, I get your situation. I understand. You live in California. You live in Southern California, in one of the biggest cities with 10 million people in it. Well, the county's 10 million. The city has 3 million people. 3 million people in LA and 10 million people in LA County. My girlfriend's joke, I still look young enough to do OnlyFans. Well, I don't know, Rhonda. That's up to you if you want to do that. I hope you're not trolling, because a lot of the stuff, like, it sounds like you may be trolling, like trying to, some of the people from the other side like to make up characters, but it's okay. Even if you're trolling, it's all good. It's been a nice conversation. I'll just say you're not trolling, but yeah, I mean, I don't suggest OnlyFans for anyone, because even if you're still young and you look good, at some point you're gonna find a man that you're gonna fall in love with, and you're gonna fall for him, and then he's gonna see your OnlyFans stuff, and then he's gonna be like, I can't be with a woman that shows her goods to the world. It wouldn't work for me. It's only a joke. I wouldn't sell my body. Good. Yeah, no, I respect that, Rhonda. I do. I respect that. Once you put it out there, you can't take it back, A lot of women don't realize that, hey, I can make a lot of money in my 20s showing my goods to all the thirsty beta males that will pay us to see us nude because they don't have the confidence to get a woman in real life, right? But then you get into your 30s, and those guys now want women in their 20s. Now, some women in their early 30s still look like in their 20s, and you could pass that off, but is it worth it? I say no. Because a lot of these women, they did that for 10 years, now they're not making the same money. Now they want to settle down with a dude, and then they can't get a job that pays them anywhere near what they were making, and they want to settle down with a decent dude that's doing well, and then the guy finds out they were an OnlyFans girl, and they're like, well, I'm sorry, it's not going to work for me. I can't be with someone that all my friends could just go here and see my woman naked, right? I couldn't live with that. I wouldn't want people to see my woman naked. I wouldn't want to be with a woman that once sold herself in that way. That's just, look, to each its own. If women want to do that, do what you got to do. You have the rights to do that, but there's a price to pay at the end of the day. The worst thing I'm guilty of is smiling a lot to get free drinks at bars. Well, yeah. Free drinks from lonely, miserable suckers that you're never going to give the time of day to. Those guys think they're going to bring you home, and they're like, they got no shot. Just terrible. Anyway. Oh, thank you, Ron. Now I got some other things to talk about here at the last part of the show. So, yeah, keep throwing out your messages if you'd like. I'll get to them when I can. But, yeah, I want to say this, when it comes to greedy people and corporate greed, um, that's been one thing that's just, it's always just, I wouldn't say it ruins my day. It just bugs me, deep within. It's just something that whenever I think about it, I'm like, I wish the world could be a different place where everyone that runs a business is a fair and equal person and pays everyone fairly. And granted, if you're the CEO of a company, you should make the most amount of money, but I think CEOs should be reasonable. Give me a second. I don't know if that dude is talking to himself or if he's like on a Bluetooth headset or something. Where's he going? He's back there. It's a lot darker than it actually looks on the iPhone here. Full night. Not too hot, not too cold. About 66, 67 degrees. Yeah. Got a quarter moon tonight. I just really wish there were more people that have a big heart and soul and take other people's feelings, wants, and needs into consideration, even financially. It really saddens me, like I said earlier in the show, when we've got people that are homeless and are starving, and we've got billionaires like Tony Hsiu that have money coming out of their ass and their ears and their nose and everywhere, right? And imagine if all of these CEOs that are worth millions of dollars, if they took half their money, all of them, and donated it to help needy and poor people. And when I say needy people, I mean people that are needy of food and shelter and stuff like that. I don't mean needy like a needy girlfriend or needy boyfriend in a relationship. I mean like if all these CEOs and corporate executives that are making millions each year took half their salary and donated it to make the world a better place, they would still have more than enough money to live several lifetimes, and everyone would be happy. And I think they would be more happy as well. And they could write all that off as taxes, right? Why don't we think about that, right? Why don't we think about that, right? Instead, we more so think about how much more powerful can one man or one company get? How many other companies and people can we swallow up and control, right? Why does it have to be that way? Yeah, America's about free enterprise, but for Christ's sake, for Christ's sake, whatever happened to good old-fashioned morals, values, and ethics? None of that exists anymore. And you almost have to do shady shit to make money nowadays. And I just can't do that. I cannot do shady shit to make money. I will not do shady shit to make money. Even if I could get away with it, I just don't have it in my heart and soul. I don't. Anyway, we're at 66 minutes. I'm going to get going, folks. It's been a long day. My girlfriend Dawn had 2 appointments today, her therapy appointment by phone, and then she had a doctor's appointment with the doctor that did her surgery. And they did an x-ray, and the doctor said she is 100% healed. So that is really, really good news. It's really, really good news. All the infections all gone, everything. Remember almost 6 months ago when the first doctor did the surgery and screwed things up. And then we went to the doctor that's a part of the medical foundation that Don and I go to. He saw the x-rays, he saw the infection, he saw everything. He was like, wow. I hope we don't have to do amputation or anything. I hope we can kill off the infection. And Don had some pretty serious medication she was taking intravenously through a PICC line that I had to give her every day for 6 months. It was a lot of work. It was a lot, but it all worked and it all panned out. I'm really proud of Dawn. I'm so proud of her. Her and I both, we have our moments, at times, but like days like today where we take a drive to the doctor's office and we get that good news. I look at her and I say, you go, girl. Now just keep working on your nutrition. Start putting on some more weight. And everything will fall into place. I have faith in people. I have faith in my woman. I have faith in people. I have faith that anyone that puts their mind to whatever they want to accomplish or turn around, they can make it happen. With that being said, thank you to everyone for being here. Thank you, Rhonda, for stopping by. And anyone else that was watching behind the scenes. With that being said, have a good one. Take care. And as always, be good to each other.